Hey everyone, so welcome back to another episode of the Hello Spring podcast. I hope you're all doing well because in today's episode, it's going to be extra special because as you all know it, I'm interviewing yet another guest on the pod, and I know for a fact that you are all going to love this person because I adore what they do in the simming community and what they have done thus far. And so I'll be interviewing one of my good friends, TwistedMexi, who is actually a Sims 4 modder who has made a variety of mods since the year 2014, since The Sims 4 was first released. But he's pretty well known for his brand new mods like T.O.O.L, Better Build and Buy, and so much more, and even some secret projects he's working on. But if you're looking to enhance your builds even more in The Sims 4, make sure you check out all of his links down below in the show notes. But let's go ahead and hop into today's episode. Well, Mexi, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I honestly was very excited because someone suggested to me to have you on my podcast. Like, really cool. Twisted Mexi. Like, I always wanted to pick his brain to see what he does, how he does things. Because honestly, I'm just curious. But thank you so much for being on my podcast. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, how's your week been so far?
Pretty good. Just been working on some various projects. Been kind of hopping from place to place. So
Ooh.
a lot of little
That's
things going on.
that's really cool. So, can you tell the listeners like a little bit about yourself, like who Twisted Mexi is, like why you chose that name?
um, yeah, there's not really a interesting story behind it. It's actually kind of embarrassing. Back when we were in middle school and YouTube was barely a thing,
Mm.
a small group of friends and I decided we were going to make a YouTube competitor. And the
Ooh.
name of the site was Twisted Brothers, and we all just kind of gave ourselves usernames with Twisted in them,
Mhm.
and so it was just kind of a username that stuck from that project, and I was using it for EA and whatnot, and I didn't really expect to get as big as I am now, so that's just kind of my username now.
Like, that sounds really cool. Like, honestly, would you have like stuck with that like that project back in middle school if still doing the whole YouTube thing?
No, I mean, I don't think so, because it was just like one of those, "Hey, why don't we go do this?" But I mean, if you look at how much data goes through YouTube on a daily basis, like even back then, there was no way that three kids were gonna be able to compete with that. But
True. True.
back then there were lots of smaller sites trying to do the same thing, so it seemed at least somewhat reasonable back then.
Yeah, cuz yeah, that makes sense. Cuz I mean honestly, you never really know what could happen, but I think that yeah, back then we didn't really have that much cuz it was 2004 or 5, I don't remember when YouTube like actually became a thing, but all I know back then we didn't have that much for the internet. I don't think we had Twitter back then. We didn't have like Instagram. It was just a weird time that nowadays you think, wow, life has really changed, and you're asking yourself, man, what could have happened? But honestly, that's a cool backstory. Honestly, sometimes they're not always like the most interesting, but I think where you kind of start like the origin story of it's kind of unique.
Yeah, I
Um.
mean that was back when YouTube had the gray Flash player for all their videos.
Oh
So I
my
mean that's way
gosh.
back.
I remember those days. I kind of miss the old YouTube stuff where you can customize your background and your header and all these different things like the old MySpace days.
Oh yeah.
I miss those days, man. That's how I learned how to code.
Oh what MySpace layouts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then YouTube became a thing. I'm like, man, I need to go back into those that life that I used to live. And nowadays I'm like, man, what could have happened? Like, why did they change? Change is never good, in my humble opinion. I don't think so. Hmm. For certain things. Certain
Yeah,
things shouldn't change, but certain things should change, depending on what it is.
for sure.
So, what was your like? I ask my guests this all the time because I'm always so curious, and like I know of you and you know of me, just like through social media and mutual like friends and stuff. Like, what was like your first impression of me? Because I have no idea. Because I always get so cautioned, like I don't really know what people think of me. Honestly, I'm just like nosy.
I mean, I think the first time I saw you, I hopped into one of your streams, and I was just going from build to build, checking everything out. My first impression was that you were upbeat, but not overbearing. So
Mhm.
it was kind of an enjoyable stream to just kind of hang around and go with whatever was being done at the time. So
Oh,
I think you have a great personality as far as streaming goes.
thank you. Honestly, it did not come easy. Honestly, I still get very nervous and anxious a lot when streaming because I don't know what to expect. So I just kind of try to keep the upbeat personality as much as possible. But in reality, I'm very chill and very shy, and I'm an introverted person. So it's like it's weird. It's very weird to kind of like hear that. It's like it's not weird. No, it's like very interesting to hear that where you said I'm like very upbeat, which I am.
Well, it's like
And
a middle ground. Like you can be overbearing if you're too upbeat. Like there's too much going on. And I think
yeah.
you've got a good middle ground to where it probably is where you're introverted coming out. It's like interesting. There's stuff going on, but there's not too much.
Okay, good. Cause I was like, I wonder. But like when I heard of you, I think I'm pretty sure it was a long, long time ago. I think around 3 years ago, I think 2 years ago. All I know, I found out about your better build cam mod, and
Mm.
I use that mod all the time. Like literally, I don't take it out of my game at all because I need it. I live for that mod just because it's better for like house tours and
Oh yeah.
taking screenshots in the game in build mode. Cause honestly, we don't have time to make a sim and then put them on a lot. Like it's too much work. That's extra
hmm
effort.
And then if the lot isn't residential, you got to worry about getting it switched over. And
Exactly. Because I've had my fair share of issues with the game where I make a good old rental lot or retail lot or a cafe, and then I'm just like, why are all these Sims in here? I want to delete all of you. And then I end up doing that because Sims are annoying. Plus, they wear the most randomest outfits
oh
ever.
yeah.
Because I blame custom content, but also like the in-game stuff as well. Like you have this one sim who's wearing like this random shirt and then like shorts and then like these long boots and like it is literally 80 degrees outside. Why are you wearing this outfit? Oh,
Yeah. I mean, even if you just let the randomizer do its thing inside of CAS, it gets pretty crazy sometimes.
that's true. I wish, like in Creative Sim, they would allow us to make our own styled looks. Like you know how in the game in cast there's like already styled looks. I
Mhm.
wish there was like you make the outfit and then you have an option like say save this as a styled look for later and like name it. Now that would be very cool.
Oh yeah, like make your own outfit.
Yeah, because I'm a creative sim person. I make a lot of sims for no reason because I get bored and I find it very therapeutic and casual just to make sims and build their story as I'm like dressing them up and giving their name and aspirations and traits. And I think it's kind of nice to have a good comfort area of the game, I think.
Yeah.
But you have, I would say you've probably been a long time Sims player. Like, when did you like start playing The Sims?
Man, I don't even know what year that would be, but it was, my parents had a 95 machine, might have been 98, and
Oh my gosh.
back then the games came in like 12 different discs that you had to install.
Yeah.
And man, I probably spent a couple days trying to get the game to install properly because there were just all kinds of bugs. The installer would roll backwards. It just
Mhm.
sometimes it'd freeze. But I mean that was when I first got into Sims. It's probably responsible for part of my interest in computers, just trying to troubleshoot everything and get it going. So I've been in there from the beginning.
Oh, that's good. I've been also like a very long time Sims player as well where I kind of I started with the Sims 1 and I don't know if you ever like had this like memory or not, but it's like the Sims 1 is very traumatic in my humble opinion because you get random phone calls from like the Grim Reaper or like a random stranger saying the end is near. It's like I'm watching you. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, I felt so threatened and scared of like for my life, like my actual physical life because of those phone calls because I'm like, I don't know what to expect. It was a new game. I was like 4 years old when that game came out, so I didn't know a thing about it until um like The Sims 2 became a thing where I was like understanding the way of life and understanding how things work and also where babies came from. So the other weird thing is that Sims 1, I was never allowed to play Hot Date at all. And I don't know if you were allowed to play it or not, but
I remember my parents being reluctant about it, but
yeah.
after I showed them everything, they let me play it.
I find it like Hot Date is one of those packs where I'm like, that's a lot going on in there. And I didn't know where babies came from at the time because all I knew, like literally all I knew was that you just kiss a lot and then you get a notification saying you want to have a baby. I'm like, oh, sure, why not? And then a baby comes out of thin air in a bassinet. So that's where I'm like, oh, so that's where babies come from. Kissing, that's awful. Don't need to see it. Don't want to have that. No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you said it was traumatic.
Yeah.
I would agree, but I guess I was the player that loved that kind of stuff. I kind
Really?
of wish there was, yeah, I mean, like it doesn't necessarily have to be morbid stuff, but the unexpected nature of it, I kind of wish there was more of that in Sims 4.
Yeah, I feel you
Uh,
on that. Yeah.
part of it might be the fact that I've looked at the code, so it feels
Mm,
more generic to me. But I just feel like there's not as much depth as there used to be in the other games. I know that's weird to say because the old engines were so limited, but
yeah,
I mean, it was just those, am I going to get a call saying somebody's coming for me? Or, is my sim randomly going to run into this death over here? Like, just things that would
yeah.
catch you off guard was what made it fun to play.
Yeah, I remember those days, especially in I think, kind of like going to The Sims 2, where things were so random that you didn't really know what to expect. And I think that's what made the game so much fun for me as like a Sims player, where The Sims 2, especially more so in Pleasant View, of like the whole like family dynamics of the Goth family, the Lotharios,
Mhm.
Calientes, like all those other families, where it was so chaotic, you didn't really know what to expect and there were already like set storylines in place that kind of made you want to understand them even more and play them more. Oh man, I miss those days. I still go back to
Yeah.
the game every now and then when I can.
Yeah, like I definitely wish there was more lore to The Sims 4 at least.
Yeah, I feel like if The Sims 4 had changed or could change, I think the timeline order, because the way it works is like The Sims 3 and then 1 and then 2, and then like The Sims 4 is like an alternate universe. But if it changed, I feel like it would fit the timeline of maybe around like where it's like between Sims 1 and 2. So we'll go like 3, 1, 4, 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like I don't know. It's very weird because I think that what throws me off the most is the Caliente household, where Katrina's not really a thing in the older games. So I think that what threw me off the most. Like if she didn't exist, then it will all make sense. But the
Hmm.
lore is like what is like missing out of the whole entire like dynamic of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about a life sim, it's a lot easier to get invested in it if you have some kind of story to go off of.
Yeah. I was listening to this one podcast of okay, it's like EA did like a podcast so long ago. And I remember it was with Sim Guru Grant, I think, and then Sim Guru Lindsay. They were talking about how with The Sims 2, of like all these different glitches, like with Bella Goth and then Brandy broke. And like, I had this so crazy idea that I was crazy of like I messed up the game or whatever because The Sims 2 was so old and it didn't run that well back then. Well, for me at least. But I think that what made me so crazy is that Brandy broke, was pregnant, but her husband was dead. Like the timeline, it doesn't make any sense. Like she's already like her skip broke is already dead, but then she ends up being pregnant later on. I'm like, how? Like by the ghost or like by some random stranger? Like you just don't really know. And then I think they said Simger Lindsay said it was a glitch that wasn't supposed to happen. So we blame the sim gurus for certain things. That
Yeah.
is one of them.
I mean, that's the easy way out is just pin it on them.
True. I mean, it isn't really The Sims without glitches. Mm.
Yeah. Well, I
I
mean, even the older games, just, the glitches could sometimes add more depth to the game engine than the engine itself, you know?
Yeah, true. I think that my favorite glitch in The Sims 2, or like the Sims franchise in general, was probably, I don't know if it was a mod or not, but it was like the baby glitch where you could barbecue your baby. I don't know
Oh,
if that
yeah.
was actually a thing or not. I don't know. Was that a
I
mod?
would say it was either a bug or a developer secret that wasn't supposed to be in the public version.
Oh my gosh. I've never experienced it, but I've seen so many videos about it. I'm like, is that an actual thing? Was The Sims 2 that crazy that I don't even remember playing it myself? Like
I think somebody made a mod for it in The Sims 4 for whatever
yeah,
reason.
yeah, they made a mod for that, and I'm like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Why bring back that traumatic stage of The Sims to the new day and age? Like people don't want to download that mod, or some people do, but I'm like, no, I don't want it. I don't want to see it. I think over time, because I'm more of a family game player, but I'm not sure what you are. Like, are you like, do you do gameplay or like do you just like build?
If we're being honest, I don't do anything in The Sims 4 except mod it.
Oh,
Um, I, in general, I'm a builder, but uh, I haven't really found any interest in Sims for building. I mostly just enjoy watching other people build stuff because I'm not that great at it. So
what?
I'm not.
No, you should give it a try. I think you would have fun. I don't know. That's just coming from me. When you like you make all these awesome mods, and like I need to see a twisted Mexi build, like a twisted, crazy build using tool. Like I just want to see what it's like. I don't know. That's just
Uh,
me just coming from like a lover of your mods, you know?
yeah. I appreciate it. The closest I've probably been to that is if you look at my YouTube intros.
hmm
On the newer videos, I've made a pyramid, and there's actually no structure to that pyramid at all. It's all objects placed with tool.
Oh, that
So
makes sense.
yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a nice demo, but that's probably the best thing I've ever built in The Sims 4. To be honest, I haven't really spent much time on it. I really enjoy watching what other people can do with the stuff that I make. So for me, my main interest is making those mods. So
That's good. I like that. Looking at I saw the intro and I was like, I could not build that. Like you could not tell me you built that, and but you did. But I was like looking at it like, how, where, who, what? Like I look at all these builds on the gallery and like also like on your Twitter because you retweet the builds and everything. I'm like, how? Of course they're using like tool and their brain and their creativity, but like how? What inspired them to build that? Like
oh
I've
yeah,
seen it's crazy.
I mean, I still don't understand half of the stuff that I see with it. Like, I just don't know how somebody could have one the imagination, but also the patience to. Like I know my mod. I know how my mod works, and I've made it more convenient over the years. But
Yeah.
it's still time consuming, and these people just pump out this like massive building or a spaceship, whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
just thinking like, how did you do that? How do you even figure out how to start to do that?
Right. Like
So,
what's the first item that you choose and then like how?
mhm.
Like I saw this one build. It was actually like I'm a Disney stan all the way. I've watched every single Disney movie known to man. And someone made Tarzan's treehouse
Oh,
and
I
I'm
saw
thinking, how? Like
that.
first of all, the trees, the ship, the actual tree itself, like what?
I mean, you didn't even have to read the title, like, you can just look at that and go, "That's Tarzan's treehouse."
Like,
So, I
yeah.
mean, that was amazing to me. That's probably one of the best ones I've seen in a while.
Yeah. It's like they must have been in the movie and they just didn't tell anybody, honestly. They just probably have some secrets from Disney, you know? People be
Oh, yeah.
hiding secrets these days, and I'm like, you must know something like on the inside from like those movies or like that game. Like, I know your little secrets. You can't fool me. And I think that nowadays, like with the packs that we have now, Tool has like enhanced so many builds to like crazy. I've seen the Buckingham Palace. I've seen like random magical builds like Sati Sim builds, like
Mhm.
their builds are out of this world. Like I don't know half of the stuff. Like I scroll through debug day, noon, and night, but I don't see half of these items. Maybe because I just don't look at them a lot, but I think
Y
that some of the builds have just been very nice to look at and kind of get some inspiration from.
yeah, I mean, like, the Star Wars pack, pretty much the only reason I ever see cited for people getting that is for, building materials. They'll make
Yeah.
steampunk builds and the like out of it.
Yeah. I think my favorite one, I don't know who built it, but there was something Falcon. I love Star Wars, but I
Millennium
can't
Falcon?
yeah, that one.
Sims.
Yeah, and I was like, how did you do that? That's like I've seen crazy things like that before, like in the past. Like I think even before Tool was a thing, people have built that stuff before, but I feel like
Mhm.
now it's even better. So, I mean, awesome job. I applaud you. Like I don't have the patience nor the time to do what you do, but I'm glad that you exist and you are giving us players what we need. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad I exist too.
Yes.
But, I don't know if you saw it, but I made a little showcase tool. I put a video out there of, Sims Millennium Falcon being rebuilt. Um,
Oh, yeah, I
yeah,
did.
it, like, explodes it out so you can see all the individual objects, and then it pieces them back together one by one. So it kinda gives you a little bit of a better idea of how they, came about making that creation, so it's
Mhm.
kind of interesting.
I find those more fascinating than the actual speed build itself, you know?
Mhm.
Because you can see all the stuff, like, pieced together, which is very good. What was, like, your favorite memory, like, from playing, like, The Sims that you remember the most?
Oh boy. I am going to sound awful, but honestly, the most memorable thing, and I actually tried to make a mod to recreate it back when it wasn't a thing
Mhm.
in Sims 4, was the fact that you could launch fireworks inside the house and start a fire with rugs. So
I
uh,
love
I
that.
I wanted more ways to cause chaos. I guess like that
Mhm.
has always been my thing. I saw something recently that said that Will Wright had broken out Sims players into like four different categories. I can't remember
Really?
what exactly they were. Yeah, like back whenever he was working on it, they had this like viewpoint of you have the builder, um, the designer, so like create a sim, and there was another one I can't remember what it was, but then one of them was basically dedicated to well, you drown your sims or you light stuff on fire.
Mm.
They just in it for the chaos.
Yeah, that's true. We as simmers are, I would say, a very weird bunch. We're very unpredictable. You don't know what to expect. You just hope for the best that it's somewhat good or exciting, but no, we choose chaos. And I
Hmm.
think that the the one thing or like well, no, a few things that we as simmers would like to have more of, woohoo spots, more death, and cars. More so, more woohoo spots and death. Like something about having our Sims die makes us sound crazy. And the first thing that like when Snowy Escape came out, the first thing I thought of, I'm like, so where can we woohoo? Where can we die? So we can actually die from falling off a cliff if you like do the mountain climbing and you're not successful. Your Sims can die from that if they get multiple injuries, and then they
I
also can
didn't
woohoo
know
in the
that.
cave. Yeah, it was in the trailer, and I looked more into it. That was the first question I asked, like, "Can your Sims die from that?" And they said yes, and it was just a delight. However, even though I am a lover of having my Sims die constantly or having them go crazy, I don't like killing my Sims that often.
Yeah.
To preserve their life and make sure that they have a good longevity of family, love, heartbreak, all that stuff before they pass on. But I don't know.
I mean, it's not so much the dark nature of it, it's risk. Like if you want a life sim to be interesting, you have to have some risk. So, yeah, I'm interested in knowing where those risks are. If I have my sim go do this, is there a risk of it dying? And
Right.
I mean, one of those I probably wouldn't agree with is the Murphy bed death.
Oh, that
That
one's
seems
just
excessive.
yes. That one's scary,
Yeah.
kind of.
Like, let me just not use the Murphy bed.
Yeah. Because we had Murphy beds back in The Sims 2. It was something like that. Sims 3 just made it more extra, I think. I think you could die from the Murphy bed in The Sims 3. I don't
Yeah, I
remember.
don't recall, but the tuning for The Sims 4 is way too high on that. I think they tuned it down, but I'm not sure if it's any better or not.
I mean, I haven't really tested it out. I do put Murphy beds in my houses sometimes just for convenience, but I don't think they have actually. I think it has changed a little bit, yeah, where it's not as excessive of killing your Sims based on what Murphy bed you choose.
Yeah.
So the way the game is actually going nowadays, like in 2021, like what would you say is like the best feature they've like added thus far?
Oh, um, I mean, I have to go with this one, even though I also kind of hate it. That would be the build platforms.
Yeah.
For having the build the way it was for so long, the platforms is definitely like the one feature that will do more adventurous builds, I guess I should say.
Mhm.
Like I feel like it unlocked a lot more possibilities than what we had with previous constraints. But
Yeah.
I hate it because I'm fairly certain that's what's responsible for the BuildBuy being so buggy lately. I don't know if you're aware, but in some cases, if you have objects that aren't touching the ground, or if they're objects on a table,
Mhm.
then anytime you change the wall or like a spandrel, anything, then there's a chance that your objects get deleted.
I
And that,
don't
sorry, go ahead.
I don't think actually encountered that glitch before. I don't think so. All I know when I have my walls built and I put a platform, it deletes the walls, but that's the only thing I've had.
Hmm, okay. Uh, I don't know how prevalent it is as of the most recent patch, but I do know it is still an issue. I think tool users are more prone to it because they're more likely to be placing stuff midair, like if they're
Mm,
trying to make stuff look like it's sitting on a shelf, but not actually. But yeah, it came around the same time that I think it was the patch before platforms became a thing, which tells me that there was probably code in the build by logic to support that in the future, and that's probably what changed to cause that issue. So, like I
okay.
said, it's double-edged sword. Love it, but also kind of sad about the bugs that it introduced.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I use platforms a lot, but very like little. Like I will do like the most minimal thing of raising one room like a little bit higher, so it
Mhm.
diversifies the build a little bit more. More so in, like suburban homes is usually what I build.
Yeah, I've seen people use it a lot for like entryways to
Yeah.
offset, like where you'd put your shoes or whatever. And I think that's a pretty easy use for it to kind of make your build unique.
Hmm. Out of all the packs that we have in The Sims 4, we have way too many. What would you say if you could get rid of any of the packs? Which one it what would it be? Because like I mean, we have so many, but I'm curious because some of the
I mean, are
packs
you?
are
I feel like you already know the answer.
my first
My,
pet stuff.
oh yeah, that is the one. I mean, I just can't think of anything else that brought less value and should have probably honestly been part of the cats and dogs pack. So I know that's like everybody's answer, but I feel like it's also not incorrect.
Yeah, like I do like the pack for what it brings, but I feel like it wasn't really needed. It could have been incorporated cats and dogs, so I feel you on that part. Because I even ranked my pet stuff, I think at like a good for the build and buy, but not the whole like concept behind it, where you need cats and dogs in order to have that pack, which is so weird to me. I don't know. I don't like it. It
Yeah.
makes me upset. So, like, what or like who led you down the path to like start like coding and making mods for The Sims 4? Like, why not, the other games? But
I mean, I've just kind of always been interested in it to begin with, as far as coding goes, and I honestly can't remember exactly what happened to cause me to get into Sims 4 for coding.
mhm,
I don't know. I must have just wanted to see if I could make something work, and The Sims 4 happened to be where my interest was pointed at the time.
mm,
And I mean, since then, I've realized that it's a pretty good engine for having a wide variety of possibilities. I mean,
yeah,
if you I mean, like a lot of games, they're so niche. Like, if a game is meant to be a restaurant simulator, then you're only going to be able to do so much with that. But Sims, it's kind of like, well, if it's in life, you can probably make it work in The Sims as well. So I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I've ended up focused on build mainly. But when I first started, I was more interested in making gameplay mods.
I mean, it makes sense, honestly, because I think that with The Sims 4, it's a lot more easier to make mods or like make things, like whether it's custom content or not. It's a lot easier because of the game engine, how it is working nowadays and where it was before. Whereas like The Sims 3 and 2 was a little bit more complex because it was different. But I think what you've been making, like I think I've done almost at least every single last one of your mods. Just because they're really good and I like the idea of it. And also I should have, I'm looking at your website and I'm like, I should have downloaded the Strangerville like toggle mod where you can turn off the story
Oh yeah.
because the part of me is like, you play it once, you don't need to play it again, so like you can just turn it off. We don't need it anymore.
Yeah, so thinking back to it, I guess the actual reason I got into The Sims after I started was mainly I just felt like the game engine didn't do enough or
hmm
didn't do stuff the way I wanted it to. So, I just mainly focused on correcting that. And so, I mean, I like Better Build By. I think that's a pretty good example of my goal with the game is now not so much gameplay, but more of, just correcting features that the game has.
Yeah, there is actually when you speaking of build and buy, I do like the expandable build and buy mod because since we do have so many packs and there's been new items being added into the game, whether it's base game updates or patch updates or whatever it is, there's so many things added that you don't want to scroll down for ages and trying to find the right item. And
Oh yeah.
so is that the reason why you kind of wanted to make the expandable build and buy mod? To like so people don't
um
scroll for hours?
I think I might be hopping into another topic that you're intending to cover, but it's actually out of a larger project of mine called Project Raven.
Mhm.
So the intention for the expandable build buy is for something much larger than that.
Okay.
But because that Raven project has been taking so long, I started to piecemeal some of the features that I had created for that into smaller creations. And so before Better Build Buy was a thing, I did release the expandable catalog first.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as far as why I decided to piece it out, it was so that people could have a more convenient catalog. Because personally, I don't know about everybody else, but part of the reason I don't build is because looking at that 2-row catalog makes me feel claustrophobic.
Yes.
So I just felt like I could never find anything that I wanted to build, and that's mainly what turned me off from building years ago.
Mm. Yeah, I feel you though. But like you said, you feel claustrophobic with the two rows. It's like we have too many things and I build for hours where I'm trying to find this one piece, like this one object, whether it's like a plunger or like a piece of wood that gets like one piece of wood that's like in the right shade of wood tones, like tan, and it's down at the bottom, and I have to scroll for hours. I don't know.
Hmm.
I think that build and buy with the two. Like I would love to be able to like raise it within the game itself without having a mod, but having yours is a lot better because I need room. I need to see everything.
Yeah, and the mod was going to be more Maxis style, where you can just click it and drag it open.
Oh,
But
okay.
when I tried that, it was so laggy. I guess because of the way the Sims 4 UI is built, that it just was not feasible. So the one toggle to just switch between is a much better experience. Unfortunately, I would much rather have that drag feature.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Because I was gonna say like, couldn't you like copy? But then I don't really know much about coding. Because like my idea is like you just drag the one from the inventory dragging thing, and then you move it over to the build one. But that's not how things work. No.
Yeah, UI mods are probably the most complicated type of Sims 4 mod because the files that they use are very rigid. Um, you can't just copy and paste. You have to actually type out everything exactly where you want it because we only have the finished version of the file.
hmm
If we had an actual dev toolkit from Maxis, then I'm sure there would be more convenient ways to do that. But we're what, a little over 7 years in. I don't think
Yeah.
we're going to get that. So
That would be a dream.
yeah.
I remember, so this was like years ago, back when before like get together was a thing. There was like a Sims camp that I went to, and I know it was like me and like a group of like other like simmers and like the game devs who made get together. And you know how like they made those cinematic game trailers?
Hmm.
And I thought those were like the coolest things ever. And I'm like, how did you do all that? Can we do that too in the game? And we all asked, like, could we have, like, literally for years, almost every Sims camp we asked for it, could we have like a cinematic mod dev, feature or whatever in the game? Because that'd be so cool. Because we had it in The Sims 3, like, can you just carry it over to The Sims 4 with like a cheat? And then we have access to all of the things that you use, because the way it works is that they're able to control a sim in like individual sims like by itself without having in their household. So it's like it's so crazy on how much like control they have now. And like even nowadays like it's so different. And I think you saw it too, but Luma Sims is now working at EA. Like
Oh yeah.
that's absolutely wild. I think he's the cinematic artist, which should be very interesting. Quite excited for that. Let me tell you. Very
Yeah, I
excited.
saw that, and I had the same takeaway. I think he's going to be doing the cinematic trailers coming up, so that will be interesting to see.
It will be. I'm very excited. Like, I already know. Like, in my mind, I don't know if you think this too, but in my mind, I think we're going to get generations next or farming, one of the two. I mean, it could be something completely different, but the way like things pan out and stuff, I feel like we're going to get generations next, but that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like either one of those could come up. I don't know how soon they might get to it because, it's pretty obvious now that Maxis plans stuff out, a year in advance. So,
That's
uh,
true.
do I think we'll see it before Sims 5? Yeah, definitely. I think that'll be a topic they cover.
Oh yeah. Cause I mean like EA Play is usually like in June and that's a little over like a month away or so. So there's a possible chance that they might announce something for Sims, which is usually the case that they always do because that's like a big promotional thing that they have as a company where all games get promoted all at once at their lovely big giant convention they have. So I
Hmm.
mean, what do you hope for? Like if something like where you are as like a modder, like what are you like most looking forward to the game?
I don't think there's anything in particular, but going back to packs that I'd like the least, I would say that I would prefer less niche packs, like the
Mhm.
supernatural stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not saying we shouldn't have those because I know there's plenty of people that enjoy those. I just think that the ratio is a little bit high on niche things whenever we could still be expanding, core life sim features.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, I want like preteens or I want like certain build features." Like I personally think where you say we shouldn't get niche packs, I think then the only niche thing that we should just definitely get is just a builder's pack. That's it. Nothing else. Just a whole straight up builder's pack all together with more plants. That's all I want.
So wait, is there anything else in that pack that you would want?
See, plants. Oh, actually, hanging plants, wall plants, better like more wood tone features for like bedrooms,
Mhm.
bathrooms, kitchens, dining rooms, all like, the entire like house categories. All good wood tones. Maybe some more good rugs. Diverse paintings would be very nice to have.
Clutter.
Maybe yes.
Can never have enough clutter.
Yes. Every build I ever do, I always try to go in like the debug. Like, I'm just gonna add a plunger. I know it's not usable, but I'm gonna add a plunger for realism. I need like extra stuff
Mhm.
for clutter, especially also downsizing maybe some of the prices, like where they added in the new saucer light, where like the regular one we have, and then they have a smaller one.
Oh, yeah. That was because so many people downsized the old one.
Yes. But I think what they should do is decrease the price of toilet paper. It's 50 simoleons. Like that's crazy.
I mean, I don't know. A year ago, that might be pretty accurate.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Now that you think about yeah, that makes sense. But I'm like, my Sims are already poor. Like, if my Sims in my Rags to Riches save cannot afford toilet paper, then all hope is lost. I don't know, but I think that's what I kind of want in like a pack if we had something like that, or like more hobbies or after school activities for like the kids and teens for them for like to give them something to do after school or like during school or like afterwards as they graduate or whatever. Because I think that what the main core of the game is like missing is the I guess like the replayability for me as a player where I need to have like extra stuff to do where I finish one thing, but is it gonna continue where I play it again and it's different?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you get like going back to the unexpected, you have some of these interactions that, you might do the same thing 5 different times and you might get a different interaction once.
Mhm.
But there's not enough of that. It's usually some like a specialty object like the bowling alley or some other type of thing that they've built the tuning out to say, well, we roll a number and then if it's this number, then we give you the special interaction. It needs more of that across the mundane stuff.
Mhm.
Like, okay, you're washing dishes and then maybe you drop a plate or just, more variety of things that might catch a player off guard. I think that would add a lot of replay value to The Sims.
Yeah, there was some stuff in The Sims 2 that I remember because whenever like your Sims are like watching TV, like you have a flat screen, there's a likely chance it'll fall off the wall and break. Like you just don't know what to
Yeah,
expect.
stuff like that.
Yeah. And like the little small things that The Sims 2 has, like for example, when your kids are at home and like they're doing homework or whatever, but then the parent comes home from work, they'll literally stop what they're doing, like the kid will stop what they're doing to go run to their parent to give them a hug. Like you don't expect that to happen, but it does. Or
Hmm.
like vice versa, when the kid comes home from school and gets an A on the report card and the parent's home, they'll go run to the parent, show what they got, and the parent will like congratulate them like,
Yeah.
those are the little small things that I kind of definitely, for sure, miss a lot about, like, the creativity unexpected that you said that the game, The Sims 4 is, like, missing nowadays that we had in the past.
And in the same vein, I know some people are going to disagree with me here, but like The Sims 4 has made a habit of streaming whenever they have a new pack. They'll do a
Mhm.
live stream and show you all the things that can be done. I don't like that. Like, I
Really?
feel like, yeah, because it's stripping out any possibility for surprise or shock. And I guess you could opt not to watch the stream, but there's
Yeah.
also things like they'll use the aspirations as like a
Mhm.
guide. I can't remember what it was. I think like Jungle Adventure might have had one where
Oh,
you get
yeah.
a yeah, and then that basically tells you exactly what to do to complete the pack. I just like I feel like The Sims has a big enough of a community that it could stand on, and so you could just throw it out there and either a player chooses to just play through it and try to find everything, or in the community people are going to post about stuff that they found and you'll learn that way. But I'm not a huge fan of just spilling all the secrets on day one.
And that's understandable. Like, for me, I do like the live streams, but I don't really watch them. Per se, 'cause I do like the element of surprise of, like, what to expect, like, with Jungle Adventures, I didn't watch the live stream, I kind of just played it by myself, and I played it on stream, navigating through the temples and figuring
Yeah.
out all the things that you could do and what you should not do, because you could die from getting poisoned, or you could get stung by bees, or get bitten by a spider, like, there's so many, like, different avenues from that one pack that I did and I still do love. Like I still play Jungle Adventures still to this day. And that I think that with Jungle Adventures, there was so many things that I still am rediscovering. Like I haven't gone through all of the different gates that were in the game because I don't go to the jungle that often. But I mean, it's a good variety of things where the temple does change every time that you go, which I did like that. Where I was like expecting it was gonna stay the same, but no,
Mhm.
it changes, and that's what I like. As I love the replayability where you go back, it's different each time.
Yeah, I definitely think that was one of the better packs that we received. But like you even said earlier, I think that you discovered the rock climbing death
Yeah.
through the live stream.
Well,
So,
I didn't find it through the live stream. I just kind of found out through like Twitter mostly. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, makes sense.
Sorry, I thought you said that it was in the live stream, but I know there's been various times that they have said, "Oh, by the way, you can die this way" in the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Why not just leave that to? Oh, what? I didn't know we could die that way. I guess people playing the challenges and stuff might get upset if they go to do something they think is innocuous and lose a sim because of it.
Yeah,
I guess
that's
you can't
true.
satisfy everybody.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm see, I would say I'm a Pisces, so I'm very unpredictable when it comes to like my emotions of a lot of things. Where
Mhm.
I know that they said something like you can die this way, like I'll hear it and I listen, but then like I'm not actually listening to what they're saying. I play my game like, what? I didn't know that was an actual thing. My sim just died. So, and then I blame everybody. Like, I didn't know this was a thing. Who allowed this? Who authorized this feature needed to be fired.
And you're like, I didn't save, since 4 hours ago.
That's also the other thing I hate. I forget to save my game. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh. I'm a rebel, let me tell you. Like you'll build for hours and hours and then you realize, oh wait, I didn't save my game after 4 hours of building. And then your game crashes. Like, well, I'm gonna go
I,
cry now.
I think everybody's been there, whether they'll admit it or not. We all just get lazy sometimes.
True.
It's too much trouble to open up that menu.
Exactly. It's like we don't got time for that. No, no, no. Like, would you say that I wanted to segue into like your tools mod? Like, would you say that has been I would think has been like your best mod you ever created? Of course, you made like other mods, but I feel like that's the one mod that some people you like they know you for. Like, would you say that's like your best mod that you've created thus far that you enjoy making?
Well, if the question is, do I think it's the most visible mod that I've made? Yeah, like my
Hmm.
Twitter feed is full of people talking about Tool.
Yes.
In fact, I've had some people tell me they didn't know I made other mods. Sometimes I release a preview of features I'm working on, and they go, "Is this in the Tool update yet?" And I'm like, "This is not Tool. This is something else." But I would say that as far as downloads go, Tool is on par with all cheats. Um,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
yeah, well, that's the problem with my older mods, right? All of them were command line, or they just did stuff automatically, and so there's not like, if somebody is using it while streaming, a viewer is not going to be like, "Are you using the all cheats mod?" They're just, not going to know that there's a mod there.
Yeah.
So it definitely got a lot of downloads when the cheats got blocked, and I don't think you probably didn't even know of me back then. But back in 2014, the first thing I ever did with The Sims was list all of the extra cheats that didn't get officially released,
Mm-mm. I did
and
not know that.
yeah, I've actually got the Reddit wiki somewhere that I originally launched. And basically, I decompiled the Python code and went through and found all the other commands that weren't listed. And for some reason, up until seasons, EA seemed okay with that. They never blocked them or anything. And then once seasons came out, they blocked the cheats. So then I had to make all cheats to unblock the cheats.
Well
So
then.
which kind of leaves console users in the dust because they can't use mods. So I wish they would just unblock them, but
Yeah,
what can you do?
honestly, true. I think that hopefully one day that the Sims team Maxis will eventually one day allow console players to download mods because other consoles have like that feature where you can download mods and enhance your game. But I think it all depends on like the person and the coding and the game mechanics of all that stuff, like how it really works. So I mean, ultimately, you never. I don't know. I think it's a possibility one day down the line, like towards the end of the Sims 4 era.
So I'm going to sound really negative, but I think it would become less likely as we get
Mm,
closer to the end because if we're thinking this isn't even just a bash on EA, it's just companies in general. If
yeah,
you're about to roll out a new flagship product, the last thing you want to do is give players replay value in your old product. So
true.
I don't have high hopes that they will. I certainly hope that they would. Like I would appreciate it. I'm sure console players would definitely appreciate it.
Oh well, yeah.
But Do I think EA will do it? I'm not going to hold my breath on that one.
No, and I think that's why they don't really support The Sims 2 anymore. Like they acknowledge it, but they don't support it. Along with like, I mean, I guess they're getting close to where they're not supporting The Sims 3 anymore. So they're focusing a lot more on like The Sims 4, and that's like their main game. So I mean, yeah, you are correct. It makes sense where they wouldn't likely do it because that's kind of losing the focus on their new products. And they are a business; they gotta make money somehow, but they wanted to put their focus on what they're currently making on.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember when you made this mod or not, but I remember it was a mod you made. It was called the Always Move Objects On mod. I don't know how old that mod is, but I feel like it's been around since the start of the game. I don't remember because all I remember is there was literally no move objects in The Sims 4 at the very beginning, and then when we got it, like you always had to turn it on. So I feel like that was like 2015. I don't know, or 2016.
Yeah. I had two different move objects mods. The first mod actually added a move objects like behavior. It
Hmm.
wasn't perfect. It was experimental. We'll call it that. Then it kind of got obsoleted by the fact that they added Moo to the game a few months later. So
Hmm.
next step was, of course, always on.
Okay.
So I've done a few of those. There's like always free build, always moo, and always testing. Those are probably the three big ones in the same vein.
Yeah. And now I remember, yeah, it was Mod The Sims. That's what it was. I knew who you were, and I'm like looking back. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all this now. 2014, because I wasn't that big into building back then, and I knew mods existed for like The Sims 4, like for build and buy and everything. And
Hmm.
it's like you made where you unlocked all of the like buy to bug cars and vehicles, and like that's a dream. That's a dream that I
Oh yeah,
had. Like your mods were just so perfect for the game before the game changed itself, where we didn't need those mods anymore, but we still need them.
yeah. Well, like I said, I've always kind of leaned toward what could be corrected or improved on, and I think the fact that some of my mods get outdated by the actual Maxis team kind of vindicates me on some of those.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if I could make mods, I would just update them and make them still work, even though the game's already done it for you. It's like I still want people to download my mods. So like making tool, like what was your thought process behind that? Because the thing is, I don't know who it is, but I think it's probably Rochella and Techne, but also me. Math is not my strongest suit, and I just like degrees. That's just
Hmm.
me. I don't know, but because I remember in The Sims 2, you had to use like to change like the roof height, you had to use like a degree system, like 90 degrees, 45, whatever you wanted to do. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
math? What? But no, I think the way yours is working, I just got to get the hang of it. But like, what was like your thought process like behind that?
Behind Tool.
Yeah.
uh, well, T.O.O.L is an acronym. It stands for takes objects off lot, and the whole reason I built Tool to begin with was for that purpose. Was I just wanted to be able to move objects outside of the lot boundary,
Hmm.
and that comes with the necessity of having a way to move those objects after you've taken them out of the lot. Because once they're outside of the lot boundary, you can't use build buy tools on them anymore. So,
Ah.
I made a move and made a rotate basics, and then I realized, well, if I'm letting them do this on this axis, why not let them do it on all three axes? And tried it. It worked. So I threw it in there. I still thought people would mainly use it for taking stuff off lot, but I would say probably like 90% of the users for Tool use it just as like a customization tool on lot. So
Yeah.
it's been interesting to see how players kind of took this mod for another thing and turned it all into something else. But it's been really great to watch.
Yeah. The community is very creative since like having Tool. And like it's been created before, but after like before Tool. But I think that it's become much more like of a bigger thing where the impossible is possible, where you could
Hmm.
create anything you want to your heart's desire. You can shrink things down to the smallest of the small, large, expand them, move them around, rotate them in different axes, and it's it's mind blowing. Honestly, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you keep up.
uh, it's rough sometimes, and I feel like Tool would not be nearly as popular as it is if it wasn't for the fact that you can build with Tool and
Hmm.
then upload it to the gallery, and anybody can download it without the mod. Like even console players can download what somebody created with Tool, and it'll look exactly how it's supposed to. You might need move objects on, but other than that, you're good to go.
That is
So
wild.
yeah, I didn't really do anything in particular to make that happen. It's just a side effect of how the mod works. So I'm lucky in that regard.
With things coming up with The Sims 4, I know that you're working on a new mod. It's called Project Raven, which you kind of explain that a little bit more about what that is. Like, what does it entail? If you want to share a little secret.
Hmm. So that is definitely the largest mod I've ever worked on. That project is a little over 2 years in now. And
2 years.
yeah, I probably posted more than I should have way back when I first started it because at the time I had this certain scope for the project and I thought, okay, I can get this done within this time frame. But as you're working on what you already set out to, you learn, well, maybe I could also do this or that. And then before you know it, you've got this massive project that you definitely want to do it right. You definitely want to have all the features in there, but it's going to take longer to get there. I like to be responsible with what I release.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what I've got a lot done on this, but each little thing has possibilities for roadblocks. And until I feel like every potential roadblock is out of the way, I don't want to officially announce what it is and get people's hopes up and then have it stopped by, just this complete dead end. So with Maxis updating their or speeding up their update cadence, I don't know if you noticed they did start to do a little more frequent patching than they used to.
Yeah, I've been seeing that lately.
Yeah. They that kind of set me back because I didn't have a good system in place for patching my work back up. So if like Maxis changed something, then it basically broke the entire project that I had that far. I've resolved that as of a couple months ago, and I'm usually able to get it back up and running within a couple days of a patch. And so I want to say probably in like the next 3 months, I would be ready to officially announce what this is. It is definitely not anything that anybody has seen in the community before. I'll say that much.
Oh, see, now I'm just very excited now. Uh, People have to have to subscribe to your Patreon to see it more because now I'm very curious. Like I'm looking at it right now. It's like it says Project Raven 128 by 128 ish lots. I'm like, what? So I'm just like, I need to dive deep even more into like the process of it all, seeing everything, the early access, everything. Because I'm a person that needs to know stuff when it comes to like Sims 4 and mods and how people create them and like how long does it take. So that's why like I like doing these like interviews with people because sometimes people don't get to see only get to see like one side of that person, or like they don't make videos or they just like tweet on Twitter but they don't really understand like who they are like as a creator as yourself. And so it's very like very insightful and very informational to like learn this stuff because like I'm always so curious, and I think people who are listening to this episode are going to be very curious too and wanting to be checking out more of your mods, especially the old ones that are recently updated and stuff.
I mean, I appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about myself because you're right. Tweets don't really convey the full picture. Back to Project Raven. I think a lot of patrons have issues seeing the big picture.
Hmm.
So I'll post features here and there that I'm working on, and they'll think, well, okay, what could a mod for this specific feature be? And Raven is a whole encompassing thing. So that feature that I'm showing them is just one of hundreds of different things that will be pieced together into the final product. And
Mm.
back to being responsible, the process I'm in right now is proof of concept. So if I have 10 different things that I need to get working, I will get them working to the point that I know they'll definitely do what I need them to do. And then I'll piece them together so they work as one cohesive mod. And so once all that proof of concept is out of the way, that's when I'll be ready to officially announce.
Very good. I'll definitely link everything down below for that because again, people need to know. They got to see everything. They got to subscribe to your Patreon, subscribe to your YouTube, your Twitter, all that stuff to learn more. Like, would you ever like do like a live stream or something, or just like make videos about your like upcoming mods, or like testing them out for people who are wanting to learn a little bit more about it? Do like a real time type of like stream? Like, would you like consider that down the line?
So you're saying like a preview of a upcoming mod, but through a live
Yeah,
stream?
yeah.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I've been wanting to do live streams in general. You know, I'm to that stage of time management, so I got to kind of pick and choose what I can invest into. I definitely want to like maybe do tool challenges, like a shell challenge that requires certain tool features. As far as previewing upcoming mods, I don't know if I would do a live stream. I know I'll definitely do videos, but I don't know if I would do a live stream for it because I feel like when I can't say for certain that everything is going to work the way I want it to,
Mm-hmm.
I I don't feel like it's responsible to say it'll do something and it might not. In live stream, I feel like there would be a lot of opportunity for people to ask, 20 questions, and I'll have to mostly just say, "Don't know yet." So I don't know how good of a live stream it would make.
I mean, honestly, I watch anything that you do, so
Well, thank you.
yeah. Because I think you're very talented, and like I said, people are always so curious and like seeing the person doing what they do, making it work. Because people ask a million questions, whether you're building, making mods, custom content, making videos. It's like a 20 question. It's a never ending 20 question to be exact. So you can always say, yeah, not sure yet, coming soon, don't have a specific date. And it's like makes sense. That's good enough for me. All I know is in the works.
Yeah, that's fair. The thought has crossed my mind a few times to maybe live stream while I'm just working on a mod, but I've realized that that would mostly just be people watching me open and close The Sims over and over. So I don't think that one would be a good idea. But I'll entertain the thought of previewing mods, at least
Cool.
for Raven. I'm sure that might be substantial.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I do actually have a few more questions I want to ask you, some rapid fire questions, because we've come to an end of the literal main topic of everything, your mods, who you are and everything. But I think the way I want to wrap it up is definitely do some rapid fires, because I think they're always fun to always do at the end of the episodes.
All right, yeah, get me with them.
But so the first question, what would you say is your favorite game you've played thus far? Like any game, actually.
Hmm. I used to be really big into Destiny, so I guess I would have to go with that one. More recently would probably be Cyberpunk if it weren't for all of the issues.
Mm, true. I played Cyberpunk, but I have not played Destiny actually ever. Hmm.
Destiny's probably the biggest time sink I've had, but it came and went. I'm kind of out of that phase now.
Understandable. Okay. The next question is, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your younger self? Now, this one's not really a rapid fire one, but it's like a question.
Hmm. Man, I don't,
I
I
know.
don't know. I was not a good student. Like I skipped school and everything, and I can't exactly say that I'm worse off for it, but if anybody's listening, don't skip school.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Um yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I kind of got lucky. So in general, if I had to give myself advice, I would say not to do that again and to pay a little more attention in school.
Okay. Good, good. The next question I have is what's one thing you're excited that's coming up in 2021? Excited about, I
Hmm.
mean.
My second vaccination shot.
Same. I'm getting mine this Friday, so I'm very excited.
I mean, we're a little over a year into that, so
Yeah,
yeah, that is definitely what I'm most excited for.
same. I don't know. Like, I'm probably will still be the exact same, like, just doing the same thing I'm doing now when I
Oh
get my
yeah.
second one. Like, I'm not leaving my house. I'm like, I don't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere before, so I'm like, I'm not gonna start now.
I mean, it'll be for my comfort, I guess. I'll be
Yeah.
a little more comfortable having to go out to get groceries or whatever, knowing that I have that as well. But definitely going to keep following the guidelines for a while.
Oh yeah, definitely. The last question I have is when you're not working, how do you like spend your free time?
Hmm. Um, I don't know. I guess just whatever I feel like doing that day.
Mm,
uh, you got to get the house stuff out of the way, but
true.
chores aside, the anything from playing various games, not Sims related, because that is kind of work for me,
Hmm.
and watching TV or just if it wasn't for a pandemic, going outside, going out to eat, stuff like that.
Cool. I will probably do the exact same thing. Like Sims is my work. It's what I do for a living. So I'm like, I need to step away from it and do
Hmm.
something else. So that's why I watch I play like a lot of Animal Crossing, and I also watch now recently The Nanny. So I've been kind of like
Like
dabbling.
Fran,
Yeah, Fran Dresser, The
nice.
Nanny. It's
Yeah.
so great.
Oh yeah.
I I have an obsession with that show. I stayed up until like midnight watching it. So been doing that lately. More than the average person. Along with Grey's Anatomy. So
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched The Nanny, but definitely an entertaining show.
yeah, it's on HBO Max now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they have all the seasons. So if you ever get a chance to watch it again, I think you'll have a hoot just laughing constantly for no reason. I think it has to do with all the comedic laughter, like the audience laughter.
The laugh tracks, yeah.
Yes, and then the jokes, Niles and Fran and Cece. I'm like, what? I don't. I they're just naturally funny people. That I'm like, they don't need a script. They're not looking for a script at all. It's just like the generic banter they have going on every single day. This is a reality TV show. It's not a sitcom. You can't fool us. No. So this is the end of the episode, but where can the listeners find you on social media?
Well, my site is twistedmexi.com. I also have a Twitter under the same name, and a Discord server as well. The Discord link is on my website, and I have a YouTube channel, same name, TwistedMexi. Um, so definitely check me out on all those platforms.
Awesome. We like consistency. That's good. Because I'm carrying the name on all platforms. What a great thing to do. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate again for you being on my podcast. Honestly, this was a very like good, thought provoking, very insightful episode that I learned something today, and hopefully everybody else learned something too. Because the Sims community is forever growing. It's thriving. It's changing. New people are coming on up. You just gotta learn. So, thank you. So I hope you all enjoyed today's episode with Twisted Mexi. I definitely sure did, because as a Sims 4 player, builder, and storyteller, it's so amazing to know how someone who built a mod from scratch and built it to the ground up to make it something huge and amazing where people around the world can use their mod for something very, very simple like a small little build or some random gameplay or some type of Sims movie that they want to create. And it's so amazing to know how they make their mods. Because as a person who was wanting to learn how to make mods one day, it's very informational to come to hear it from someone who is a pro and knows how to make mods, especially how to update them and recommend what they should use and what they should not use and all that jazz. But if you're looking to enhance your own gameplay, your own builds, or your own even sim movies that you want to create in The Sims 4, be sure to check all the links down below in the show notes to Twisted Mexi's website and also his Patreon. But that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Make sure you go ahead and follow and subscribe to me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And I will hear from you all next week. Bye.